we're all kind
Mm-hmm.
of, I think as publishers, everybody constantly, there's a high emphasis on gaining new subscriptions. But
Right.
for every new subscription you get, you might lose two, or you have, a certain percentage of subscribers or followers or whatever that aren't active. And I thought this article was really cool. The Arizona Republic considers
Mm-hmm.
killing zombies. So their term zombie is what they use for inactive members. And
Right.
this article was really, really cool because
Huh.
it asks those questions, where is your focus? And it asks us to kind of adjust our focus, look at your stats, really, instead of telling the customer what they want to read, because that's basic. We have a crystal ball, we're pulling up these local stories and thinking everybody will love that, but not everybody thinks the way we do. So, a really good
Right.
way to get to the bottom of that is to look at your stats, look at the articles that people open the most, and kind of change your focus or adjust your focus. It might be a little, it might be a shock to the newsroom to have to focus
Mm-hmm.
in a different way, or even the
Right.
way that content is written. But this talked about some of
Hmm.
the ways that they targeted what they call their zombies, and they actually
Mm-hmm.
flipped the tables from having um, 47% active and 22% inactive. So they kind of
Mm-hmm.
boosted the active and knocked out
Right.
the. They call it killing zombies, and they have all their little disclaimers in this article. So it's kind of a fun article too, as well as addressing that concept. It's really cool. It's a very good article.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, you said it seems like you said two different interesting things there. So one is what I thought you were going to say. This article is would be something like you have a list of, let's say, you have a registration wall,
Hmm.
and you have a bunch of accounts on there that never actually come to the website anymore. And
Right,
those are the zombie accounts. And
right.
I thought you were going to say you should delete those. Is that
No,
what
no,
this is
you want to.
saying that the
No,
zombies
you
are?
want to go. You're trying to make those zombies active, and one way that
I
they
see.
it's
Not kill them, but bring them alive. Okay.
right,
Okay.
right. And this, I
Bring them
thought this
back.
was kind of cool. If anybody was a Walking Dead fan, know what brains your zombies like, you know. So again,
Right, right,
points to
right.
your stats.
Okay.
Really,
Right.
and
Interesting.
and number two was admit that you do have them. We all have
Right.
subscribers that, well, like members that just they might read the email, they might not even read your newsletter, they just kind of click through.
Right.
So the
Right.
idea is to target those people, find out what the stories of interest are, and do more of them,
Mhm.
and then
Right.
focus
I
your
got it. I
newsletters
got it.
on those type of things. And yeah, loyalists
Right.
are hard to lose
Okay.
and zombies are hard to turn. So it's really a matter of
Right.
keeping what you have, but also allowing room for adjustment. And again, it comes back to your stats. Look at the
Mm.
stories that people read and try to do
Right.
more of it. Or even the way an article
Okay.
is written.
It now I understand. Okay, that's a really good article.
It
Yeah,
is. It is. And this
celebrate
this
when you
paper
kill
went
zombies.
yeah, this paper went so far as to give awards, and they have a little award for the most zombie killing. And it
Right,
highlights
right.
it highlights the tactic that they use. So it might just be customer service or something like that. But yeah, I thought
Right.
it was kind of cool. Very good article. And
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
post that somewhere. But um, what didn't
Sure,
work?
yeah, we could probably you know what? What I usually do for things like this is just create a ticket for Jack to write a blog post summary on this. And even if he just took the 5 or 6 rules that they
Yep.
put in there for doing it, and then that's his summary, just a list of the rules and then link to the full article, then that would be a great repurposing of this.
Right. And
And anything he can add would be good.
right. And while we're talking about angles, I mean, audio
Yep.
podcasts, there's one right there that would probably
Right.
really wake up some of the zombies.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, so it's not just the type of content, the categories that you want to focus on, but
Right.
it's like the media format. So
Exactly.
maybe some of
The
these
brain,
zombies would be awoken by, yeah, audio brains. Yeah,
right?
that's great. I think if you could just uh, throw this over to Jack's court, because and then mention that we should point out in our blog posts the ways, like concrete ways you can do this. The number one, well, there's two things. You could look at every week when your newsletter goes out. You could look at what's the most clicked on article. That would be one thing. And what category is that article in? What are the topics of that article? And then prioritize maybe a follow-up article, on that same story, something
Right.
like that.
It could
That's
even
it.
come. It could even come down to style. A certain journalists have
Mm-hmm.
certain styles. Are they more laid back? Are they third person? See what type of
Mm-hmm.
styles. It
Right.
really nitty gritty with this.
Interesting. Right, right. Well, now you're really getting into, yeah, that those are the details. I would start with just like what categories are the most popular, because then you could maybe a way to wake up those zombies would be to put that category higher up in the newsletter or higher up on the website.
Hmm.
Maybe rearrange the homepage so sports is higher up. If that's your most popular category, that's one thing. But you can also go into Matimo and look at the most popular categories on any time scale. So you could look just last week or the last year. What are the most popular categories? And even what are the most popular articles in those categories?
Right. Yep. And sometimes
Yeah,
we're surprised by those things too.
right,
Because like I said, we
right,
all think we know what our readers
right,
want, but that's not
right.
always the case. We have to
Yes,
reevaluate every once in a while. As
right, right.
new readers, as your subscribers get older and younger readers come on, sometimes
Sure,
you have to change your focus a little bit without
exactly.
without changing your staff, hopefully.
Right, right. Yeah, and just kind of pivoting a little bit. And this is really, it brings up a bigger point, which is not something that we talk about a lot, but this is really what the promise of digital always was, but I don't think people are really focused on it as much as they could be, which is that you can measure everything about your readers there. You
Right?
can tell in a print edition, you have no idea who's reading what articles. I mean, you can get maybe do a survey every year and try to get a sense of that, but that's like such a small sample size. It's very infrequent. It's very expensive to do surveys
Right.
just
And
for
I
your
think
time.
with the print edition, you kind of rely on your outlets and your front page because your front page is what makes people pick up your paper. And
Right,
then, if you have unused papers, obviously the outlet is going to tell you how many are unused. So that's really
right.
the only statistic you have
Feedback.
to go by. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so then all these lessons could be applied, yeah, back to the print edition. I mentioned rearranging your homepage on the website, but obviously apply those same ideas. Maybe move a few more sports stories to the front page if that's your most popular category, or you know, just put more teasers there. You don't need to put the full story. Put a few more teasers on there to get people to open up the print edition. That is great stuff. And this is kind of, it's making me think about some of the things that we're working on in our hometown research and development. Our engineers are working on some really exciting tools to drive engagement that will do some more intelligent well, we'll recommend articles in a more intelligent way. Right now we have the related stories at the bottom of a lot of articles that show you other articles from the same category, but we're trying to enhance that so that it's more specific, it's more relevant recommendations, and we're going to be using A/B testing to modify that algorithm so that we're going to make predictions on what are the articles that we think this reader is going to be interested in based on the article they're on now. but then based on exactly how they actually interact with this new tool, then we're going to adjust it. And I just bring that up because of what you just said. You think you know what your readers want, or for us, we think we know what our customers want, but
Right.
we don't really, have all the answers, no matter how much experience you have. What the most important thing is that you try different things and then measure the results and then keep adjusting, your course that way.
Scientific method.
Yeah, it is. That's why science works. I mean, they're trying to figure out the mysteries of the universe. We're trying to understand what are people interested in, what's the content that they want to learn more
Right.
about in the community. It's the
Mom's
exact same
brains.
thing. Yeah, right.
Yep.
So that's great. Thank you very much for bringing that article. I think that's a good one for our blog.
Sure, and
And
it was fun. It's really a
yeah,
fun article.
awesome.
And
I
the
love that you're
tagging
bringing
on
this stuff.
that, you could actually do an office hours on just like
Right,
things that could benefit, like color changes. The
right,
not only in the types of articles, I found that in my experience, just by changing something so minute that
right,
you that people notice.
right,
People do not like static. They just
right,
want something creative, engaging. Even
right,
just a pop of color somewhere on the page will make it work.
right,
Also, they could also look in their member press members. And if they see that
right,
they've never signed into their account after creating it, maybe call them, find out why. You know,
right.
I mean
Yep.
that's just wonderful.
It's all about that feedback, and whether it's through statistics or through calling them up or emailing them, however it needs to be done. You're right that you would have to call those people because you don't have any stats on them, so you have to get them from the zombie state to the awake again. But I think that this is a great just newsletter topic, so we can maybe kind of springboard off of this. We can have a blog post on this and with all these rules, and for each rule maybe explain exactly how using our tools you can accomplish these things. So let's just call it like zombie, um, what was the term, zombie accounts or zombie subscribers? Just killing zombies.
Killing zombies.
It's cool. I mean, I like it as a headline for our
Right.
customer newsletter and for maybe our prospect newsletter. Killing
I'm looking
zombies.
for their disclaimer here. It's really kind of funny. It,
Where is
they
that?
they come. You know how in some movies, well, a lot of movies now, where they say no animals were injured.
Right, right, right. Something
They
like that.
actually have a disclaimer in here
No
about that.
subscribers were injured.
Yeah, no zombies were actually killed, and we don't really kill zombies. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Oh,
It's
here,
very
Awesome.
engaging, that's for
no,
sure.
no zombies were actually hurt during this exercise.
Churn reduction, right? Yeah. No, that's exactly what it's all about, though. It is reducing the churn and increasing the loyalty of the active users, and then hopefully waking up a good number of these zombie accounts.
Right.
So, all right. So I've got that on there. Killing zombie tech. Let's say like tips and tricks for using stats to improve your content or improve content and
Well,
it's
you want to
almost like
improve engagement.
layout.
Yeah, you want
What's
to
that?
improve, you want to improve engagement.
Yeah, that's a good way to boil it down, to improve engagement. So that comes in two forms, both what you're talking about and how exactly it's presented, either in print or on the website.
Yeah, it's taking that next step beyond gaining engagement, but improving it.
Right, right.
Widening that pyramid
It's
base.
Yep, it's a battle we constantly are facing and got to be focused on, because that the competition, which let's be honest, is all the social media that's out there that's taking the attention and the engagement away from newspapers. They are doing this in a very scientific way too, and they've got very complex algorithms to do it because Facebook has billions of users. They cannot go in and look at those stats one at a time or reach out to users like you said, Vera. That's just not possible for them. It is possible for us. You know, we've got a smaller, more focused audience. So,
So Matt,
but
with, you know, we were talking about registering your business on Facebook. I
yep,
can see how this would apply there too, right? Where if you have, you know, those more interesting stories on Facebook and you can
right,
bring more people back to your site and then they'll start looking
right.
for them, and I can see how that could snowball too. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You can look at the stats for that. You could either look at just the engagement on the Facebook post, the likes and the hearts and all that. But really, you want to know, I mean, if people are just liking your post on Facebook, that's one thing. But it would be better to look in Matimo, look at the stats and figure out what
Uh,
articles, you know, are people coming from Facebook to read.
right, right.
I think that that would really be the thing because people, I mean, it's kind of honestly, it's meaningless and it has no value to get a like on Facebook, but to get that traffic, that is significant, especially if it's from, well, it's probably most significant if it's from a non-subscriber and then they convert to a subscriber. That's the best possible thing. But it's also the next level down that's still very valuable is if you have paying subscribers that are learning about your stories through Facebook. It's like we don't care how they hear about us. Maybe they don't get the newsletter or they just don't read it for some reason, but they come to the website every week from Facebook because they're on there, you know, a significant amount of time, and that's just where they hang out. So they end up seeing all
Right.
kinds of stuff there.
They probably have the Facebook app on their phone and not their newspaper
Right,
app, which they could have a newspaper
right,
app.
right. They could, but that's another thing that's coming down the development pipeline where we've got some new engineers working on the apps, and we've got some really exciting features coming there. We're completely rethinking how we approach apps. We're going to be focused on using more of the technology that comes with a phone. You know, all the different sensors that you have with phone, all the different capabilities, the, you know, ability to upload content as a user. We're going to be looking more into that. So the apps are going to become much more interesting in terms of the design and functionality over the next few months. So stay tuned for that. I can't say any more right now, but we'll definitely be announcing those updates in the newsletter and in office hours when they come out.
So that's a part of the main focus for this year, automation, right?
Yeah, definitely automation. And yeah, I mean this stuff that you're talking about now with the zombies and that feedback is giving me some really good ideas because there's ways that you can do it manually, but I mean we want to automate these things. Like if we could somehow make recommendations in an automatic way to the publisher so that they don't have to figure this stuff out, that would be really cool. But I'm
We've
getting
got
ahead of
some really good
myself.
tools. We've got
Yeah,
really good
yeah,
tools. We've got the newsletter
right,
that's automated. We've got
right,
podcasting abilities, and then we have
right.
the social media auto posts.
Exactly. And if we could just somehow gather all that information together in one place and then, you know, boil it down, because it's definitely possible for you to go into Matimo, look at the most popular category or the most popular articles, go to your Facebook, like all the stuff we've been talking about here. You can do all of those things manually, and we're going to put out this blog post that explains that because it's all possible today. The data is there. But what I'm thinking is there a way to boil that down in a way so that we can just make a one actionable recommendation to a publisher based on all that stuff? But
Wow.
I got to talk to James about that because I mean that's his area of expertise, developing those tools. But we'll see what we can do in that area. It really plays into everything else that we're doing. So I think it's a pretty natural fit. AI, using AI in more interesting ways. I think that's all that I've got. And we've actually almost taken up an hour. I didn't think that it was going to take this long, but that's great. We had a lot of fantastic content today. So anything else you want to go through, Terry or Vera?
No, I'm good.
I just had one,
Right.
and one of
Sure.
our publishers has a pop-up that reminds people to like them on Facebook.
Ah, that's great. Yeah, that's something that you see every single YouTuber doing that knows what they're doing. Like the big YouTube channels, the beginning of the video, they always remind people because it's not honestly, most people aren't going to do it unless they're asked to. It's just kind of like if you don't ask, you won't get, or whatever the saying is. So that's a good idea. So that can you show? Is that the Florida Star, or who's doing that now?
Yeah, yeah, that's who it is.
Okay, that's what I thought. Dante down there at the Florida Star is just doing amazing stuff. Could we maybe see if we can get that what that looks like here? Thanks, Terry. Now, if you've been there, it might not do it for you. I think it maybe expires, but let's see what happens here. Okay, there's definitely a cookie that gets installed. So if you've been on this site since he turned that feature on, it might not work. Because I remember we met with Dante about this, and I think we decided that he only wanted it to happen once
It was
every
month
30 days.
exactly.
Okay, so Terry, you're probably looking at this site a lot. I don't know if there's any way to clear that cookie so we could
Well, you could
simulate what that looks
open
like.
incognito bar.
Oh, let's try that. Can you do that? Yeah, copy that URL, right. And that actually brings up a good point. I want to be talking about incognito paywall issues that a lot of publishers have. We do not have that problem because our paywall is incognito proof. But let's see what happens here. If we go to Florida Star, there we go. That looks like it. Okay, so he's got the newsletter pop up too. That comes up first. And then let's see. Okay, great. So he's got all his social media. Can you click on one of those? Just like, let's say his Facebook page. Just simulate this. So it opens in a new tab, which is good. And then you can see what's going on Facebook. You can like or follow the page. You can like them on Twitter and YouTube and everything. So that is great. I mean, just promoting the fact that you're on social media in such a kind of aggressive way. Most people just have the links in their footer or on the right column. It's something that you get blind to as a user eventually. So I guess to like you have to be logged into your Facebook account, but that's okay. Most people would be if they weren't on incognito and all this. So, that's a great point, Vera. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. Maybe we
that's
can.
really good. And we should point out too that our hometown website has the capability to do this. It's not something
Right,
that's, you have to add extra or anything. It's there
right,
already.
right. Yep. This is part of every site, that pop-up tool. So if you want to use it for your newsletter or for promoting your social media, we can do both, as he's doing at Florida